China trade. Wisconsin farmers have been hit hard by the trade dispute with China. Come on in. Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin. Governor, welcome back. It's always good to see you again.
Good to be with you.
Do you support these tariffs?
Well, the bottom line is we need to, ideally, I'd love to have no tariffs. But as the president said at the G7 not too long ago, last year in Canada, the fact of the matter is his goal is to get to no tariffs. But we already have tariffs on item after item after item from Wisconsin and from the United States. We need to have a level playing field, and we don't have it with China right now. So I support the president pushing back and saying, let's level the playing field with China and any other country out there. We can compete as long as we're on a level playing field. Okay,
I know you've got an opinion piece. It's on foxnews.com. And you're saying the Republicans had better wake up because there's a Democrat power grab going on, a judicial power grab. I'm not familiar with the argument. Would you explain it to us for us?
Yeah, for us it's simple. Eric Holder and Barack Obama have been going around the country raising hundreds of millions of dollars to try and legislate their way back into the majority. They pick a state and then they sue until it's blue. What I mean by that is in Ohio and Michigan, we've seen it in North Carolina, in Virginia and Pennsylvania. They tried it in my state. They tried to take over the state Supreme Court. Why? Because they wanted to send maps for legislative redistricting to the courts with the idea being eventually, by the time the census is done, they want to change the maps. They want to gerrymander their way into permanent control for the next generation so that people like Nancy Pelosi continue to be the speaker. We just cannot stand up for that. If we have fair maps, our candidates win because our ideas are better.
But don't the Republicans do that too? I mean, doesn't everybody, I hate to use the word gerrymander, but doesn't everybody, both sides of the aisle, don't they manipulate the maps for each congressional district?
Well, the bottom line is in any state, you should have the people who are elected. The elected state lawmakers, be it the House and the Assembly or the Senate, whatever the legislative names are, depending by state, but the people that actually have to be accountable to the electorate. Not these unelected bureaucrats, not these people in the federal courts that have lifetime appointments who don't have to stand before the voters. The people who actually have to be accountable to the voters should be making that decision. I think in the end, these recent decisions in Ohio and Michigan will ultimately be heard by the United States Supreme Court, and I think they'll put the power back in the hands of the people who are duly elected.
What do you say to this prospect, Governor? I think America should have the rule of law, but what we've got is the rule of lawyers, and there's a big difference. What do you say?
Well, it's a big problem, and unfortunately we see the problem with that not just in certain parts of the United States, we see it around the world. I mean, in Venezuela as we speak, we see the problems with socialism where you put too much power in the hands of the few. We need to be in the many out there, and the important part about that is one of the most recent examples is all the promises of prosperity have really led to mass poverty in a place like Venezuela. It's why socialism fails. It's why you even see things as simple as their social network. Google, things like access, their cell phones have been blocked. That's why the last thing we're going to do is have a nationalized 5G system here in the United States. All those things, I think, lead up to the 2020 election, where the contrast is going to be between one of 20 or more candidates who embrace socialism versus Donald Trump and Mike Pence running for re-election, embracing the American spirit, which is about letting the people, not the government, decide.
Oh, well said, sir. Governor Walker, thanks for joining us again. We always appreciate it. See you soon.
My pleasure.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.